In order to be respectful of everybody's time, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know that my colleague, your District 2 council member is on her way, Angela Whitfield Calloway. I'm Mary Waters. I'm your at-large member. I represent the whole D. All right. I want to thank you for taking the time to come out on this very cold, cold morning. And I understand that we have a great deal, a number of people that are with us today that are virtually too. They are online. And so we want to be respectful of everybody. So thank you for being here today, not just as attendees, but as what's going on? Oh, I guess they're just talking back there. All right. I thought somebody was saying something to me. All right. So thank you for being here today, not just as attendees, but as protectors of your homes, protectors of your families, protectors of the legacy that generations before us worked, prayed, and sacrificed to build. There's a saying, I believe with my whole heart, when you know better, you can protect yourself better. And today is about knowing better so our people can move forward stronger, safer, and wiser. Let me be clear from the start. Deed fraud is not a paperwork problem, it's a people problem. It's an attack on stability, an attack on dignity, an attack on generational wealth. You all know what we do as families. We leave our homes to our children and to our grandchildren. We're talking generational wealth, and that's an attack on it. We've lost so many homes, so many people have lost their homes to this deed fraud. And I think it's coming from numerous places. We haven't identified all of the places that it's coming from, but people are literally stealing from Detroiters. And the numbers are alarming. Across our city, and particularly right here in District 2, we have seen a disturbing increase in deed fraud cases. Families discovering, sometimes overnight, that the home they paid for, the home they raised children in, the home meant to be passed down, is suddenly no longer legally theirs. And how does that happen? Oh my goodness. All of a sudden it is your house, your home, and it's not yours anymore, just gone. And that's unacceptable. And that is why people forward means protection first. Because when a family loses a home to fraud, they don't lose property, they lose peace of mind. They lose trust in the system. They lose a piece of their future. And we are not here to scare you. We are here to arm you with awareness. Awareness is power. Knowledge is protection. And protection is how generational wealth survives. So everybody say, awareness is power. And knowledge is protection. And so what we want to be able to do here today, whatever we learn, we want to share it with our neighbors, our other family members, anybody else that we can be helpful to. This is going to be a community effort. We're going to help protect each other. This conversation is about more than fraud prevention. It's about legacy protection. It's about making sure our children inherit assets, not confusion, security, not setbacks, a foundation, not a fight. Homeownership has always been one of the most powerful wealth building tools in the country. Homeownership starting right there. And for many families in Detroit, it is the cornerstone of everything they hope to pass on. I remember we were helping people with the HOPE program, and I went to a house. There was this young lady there, and there were a couple little babies crawling around on the floor. And we went there because we wanted her to attend our workshop to save her home. And so I said, come to our workshop tomorrow so we can assist you with completing the application so that you can. And she said, this was my grandmama's home. I said, well, then you need to be there to save your grandmama's home. 2 babies crawling around. Surely she needed to be there. But you know what she said to me? She said, I've got Kiki's birthday party tomorrow. You understand me? I mean, what I'm saying is that young people, even if you're listening online, when your parents and your grandparents leave you a home, you do everything that you can to protect it. So, I mean, I'm talking about priorities here. So I'm especially proud today to be joined by my colleague and sister in service, Councilwoman Angela Whitfield Calloway of District 2. Councilwoman Calloway has been on the front lines, listening to residents, responding to concerns, and standing shoulder to shoulder with families impacted by this issue. Her leadership reflects what happens when local voices are not just heard, but acted upon. Please help me thank and welcome Council Member Angela Whitfield Calloway. And so we're partners, and you're going to hear from her in a minute. This partnership represents what effective leadership looks like. Collaboration over ego, people over politics, and solutions over sound bites. Because protecting Detroiters doesn't stop at district lines, and neither does our responsibility. See, Member Calloway will go anywhere in this city when it comes to protecting you. And that's what she does. She knows that she represents District 2, but she's on the front lines everywhere. Today, you will hear from experts. You will learn how deed fraud happens, what warning signs to look for, and most importantly, what steps you can take right now to protect what is yours. This is about staying ahead of the threat, not reacting after the damage is done. Detroit has always been a city of builders, and builders must protect what they build. We've been builders of industry, builders of cultures, and buildings of families. As today, lean in, make sure you ask the questions, share this information with your neighbors, your parents, your church members, and your block clubs. Because when one household is protected, the whole community is stronger. This is how we move Detroit forward. This is how we protect legacy. This is how we turn awareness into action, and action into lasting security. Thank you for trusting us with your time, your attention, and your future. Let's get to work for our families, for our homes, and for the generations still to come. And again, I just want to thank you for being here. And I want everybody just to say, you pledge to help protect your neighbors and your families and everybody that you possibly can. They need to see a community and a city united against this deed fraud. And we can do this, right? Yeah. All right, then let's do this. And I'm going to turn it over to your District 2 Council Member Angela Whitfield Calloway.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Waters. Look around. Don't look at us, look around. Look at that. Look at that. And it's 10 o'clock. It feels like 0 below. But as you can see, you're here because you're here for information to protect your property. And we're here to make sure you get that information. I remember, Member Waters, not so long ago, we used to brag about Black folks in Detroit 70% own their homes. 70% of Black folks own their homes in the city of Detroit. That was what we would leave for our children. Our parents left their homes and their parents left them their homes. And now we have folks out here, even judges and attorneys, manipulating the process. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not calling any names because you all can read. If you can't read, you can hear. If you can't read, you can see. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. If we cannot trust our attorneys and our judges, if we cannot trust our judges, who do you trust? You're going to trust Member Waters? And if you live in District 2, who are you going to trust? Callaway is the way, every day, all day. I got your back because you got mine. You showed me that on November the 4th, a double-digit win. Isn't that amazing? That being said, we're here because your property, my property, is important, that it stays in our family. And we don't want any judge or any attorney, slickster attorney, any real estate agent, anybody downtown Lansing, downtown Detroit, trying to manipulate the process and commit a fraud. Because when they commit a fraud against you, they commit a fraud against us. And we're all in this together. I want to change the trajectory of what's happening in Detroit in terms of our property. And then I'm going to leave it there because I don't have a written statement. What our goal is to make sure your property interests are protected, not just for you, but for your descendants, the people who are coming after you, your offsprings, your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. Whatever it takes to make sure that happens, that's why we're here, and that's why you're here. And we're going to flip the trend. We're going to flip it in Detroit. We're going to flip it. We're going to stop renting when we don't have to and start buying and holding on to when we can. Amen? So God bless you all for coming out in this 0 below weather. We're here with you, and I cannot wait to hear all the information that's going to come forth to help you. It's not just about you. It's also about your neighbors. It's also about your family, though the least of them. And that's why we're here. So thank you, Member Waters, because you have your finger on the pulse of the people, and you have their heart. You have your heart twined with their heart. Yes, you do. It's knitted, and the Bible talks about having hearts knitted. Member Waters has her heart knitted to yours. She does. And I'm so grateful that you brought this opportunity and this informational session to my district, District 2. God bless you, and thank you for all that you do for all of us. Thank you. Thank you.
Callaway. All right, so I think we're going to hear from Joanna. Where's Joanna? Okay.
Hello? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. This is exciting. This is a very exciting moment in the city of Detroit. My name is Joanna Underwood. I am the Senior Policy Analyst and Housing Specialist on behalf of Councilmember Mary Water. I have been a housing advocate for 10 years. And for people like me who fight for a home and housing reform policy, I am very excited. I've been wanting to do this for 10 years. So this is a special moment for me. I had to just say that. Defraud. It's major problem in our community here in the city of Detroit, and also broadly in the African-American community. And before we get started with this information session, I want to encourage you to take as many notes as possible. because as Ms. Waters said, knowledge is power. And those who have the power have the knowledge. Knowledge, we can create change, okay? I'm gonna break down a lot of, probably like almost 100 years worth of history in 10 minutes and catch you up to speed on why we here. And I want to end this with the call to action. This is very serious when we talking about generational wealth building in our community, and especially in the African-American community. So I'm going to start off with asking you one simple question. How many people in this room know what kind of deed they have? Okay. Raise your hand if you have a quitclaim deed. A quitclaim deed. How many of you know what a quitclaim deed is? Okay. How many people know the difference between a quitclaim deed and a warranty deed? Okay. So you see why we're here? Everybody hand, if you're a homeowner, should have raised. You should know immediately what kind of deed that you have. You should also know the difference between a quitclaim deed and a warranty deed. That should be an automatic. If you pay property taxes and I ask you how much your property taxes bill is, you will know that. So you should know the most important document that guarantees your right to ownership of that property is your deed. That is your receipt of ownership. Okay? So I want to talk about Detroit became the hub for Black families during the Great Migration. But banks and federal housing policies exclude Black Americans from fair mortgage access. Redlining and discrimination lending practices help deny Black families that couldn't buy their home and preventing building generational wealth through home ownership. So basically, in the history of America, when it comes up to redlining practices and housing discrimination related to the banking industry, have historically always discriminated against the African and American community. Okay? And that discrimination has cost trillions of dollars in loss of generational wealth. In America, the fastest way to gain wealth is through home ownership. That is the American dream. But that dream has been denied so many times in the African American community. Since the passing of the Fair Housing Act in 1968, housing discrimination is illegal, but did not eliminate it. Banks continue to deny loans or often worse terms to Black applicants. Today, Black Americans are still much more likely to be denied mortgage loans than white Americans, even with similar qualifications. So what do that mean? You can have an 800 credit score. You can have all the things that you need, but you will still be denied a bank loan to own a property, okay? Even though Black Americans make up about half of Detroit homeowners. Remember, Callaway said that the Black home ownership in Detroit used to be 70%. Now we're down to 50%. In a short amount of time. That happened less than what? Around about 10 years, okay? That's a huge significant loss in generational Black wealth. Even though we make up half of Detroit homeowners, they are still twice as likely to be denied mortgage loans. At the same time, Detroit white population is much smaller, around 65 to 70,000 people, yet they have the highest rate of home ownership. The home ownership of Detroit Caucasians is at 57.9%, and Black Americans is at 49.7%. Now, let me break that down realistically. There's over 500,000 African Americans in this city. And your home ownership rate is at 49.7%. There's only 74,000 in total Caucasians in Detroit, and their home ownership is at 57%. I want that to marinate. You represent the majority that own property, but still your home ownership is at 49% compared to the Caucasian population here in Detroit. Because banks refuse to lend Black buyers, many Detroiters brought home through land contracts and cash purposes. These deals often use quitclaim deeds, which provide no legal guarantee of ownership. This made Black homeowners more vulnerable to lose their homes to deed fraud. It is a typical deed fraud case. A scammer forged a quitclaim deed, used a homeowner's name, filed it with the county, and it becomes the legal owner on paper. Because quitclaim deeds offer no ownership guarantee, this fraud can go on unnoticed for months until the real owner discovers the theft. Michigan leads the nation in the use of land contracts for nearly 2 decades. In 2005 and 2022, there was over 100,000 land contract deeds recorded in the state of Michigan, the highest in the country. And Detroit represents 1/3 of those land contracts. Deed fraud happens when somebody forged a document and transfer a property without the owner's knowledge. In Detroit, the crime is often targeted on vacant or unvalued homes in Black neighborhoods, take advantage of unclear titles and quitclaim deeds. Warranty deeds, excuse me, don't do that. Warranty deeds offer more protection and guarantee homeowners a clean, clear title free from liens. Mortgages are voluntarily specific liens placed on property title. Note, I want to note this, 45% of our homes in the city of Detroit is undervalued. That's another topic of discussion. So even though you have 50% home ownership, 45% of them homes is undervalued. So you benefit not from being a homeowner when you have a quitclaim deed versus a warranty deed. And this is the only kind of deed that unfortunately Black Americans was able to get historically in this country. The Great Migration brought people up north. They worked hard in the factory. They saved up their money. The bank said, no, we're not going to give you a home. So guess what? Our elders was resilient and they decided, hey, I'm going to buy my house in cash. And I'm going to do a land contract. But not knowing when you do that, they're going to issue you a quitclaim deed. And that deed will be more likely to be committed to fraudulently through the deed real estate fraud transaction. Because quitclaim deeds offer no guarantee of ownership, but warranty deed does. And most of the time, warranty deeds are issued out when you get what? A mortgage. See, the banks want to guarantee when they loan you money for a $200,000 or $300,000 home, that they're going to put a mortgage on that property, which is a lien on the property, until you pay that home off. They're going to guarantee that title, which is the deed, is clear and free from all liens. They also going to make sure that they are the owner of the property. With quitclaim deeds, you get none of those protections. You get no guarantee that that property that's deeded to you have a clean title. You get no guarantee that the person who deeded you the property actually owned the property. And that represents majority of the deeds, I believe. We don't know 100% sure because we had made a request from LPD to the Wayne County Register of Deeds office to give us that exact number. Once we get that exact number, then we can get to work and we can educate homeowners in the city of Detroit to upgrade their deeds to a warranty deed. Because we got to stop this at the root. We can't depend strictly on the county, even though they probably working very hard to deal with this issue. But who's going to solve housing discriminations in the bank lending process? Banks in our community, African-American community, do not operate like financial lending institutions. They operate like money warehouses. They store your money, but they don't offer you access to capital through lending the money back out to you. Right now, we probably have millions, if not billions of dollars inside the banks right now here in the city of Detroit. If we asked them how many mortgage loans you gave out to the African-American community, we know they gave out more mortgage loans to Caucasian white Americans. It's not an attack, it's just the facts. We know they received twice more mortgage loans than African Americans. That's a fact. Right here in the city of Detroit, in the city of Detroit population is one of the largest populations of African Americans in the country. Okay? So that we cannot solve overnight. And we cannot trust 100% that the county can deal with that massive problem. But what we can do is educate the community, every last one of you in this room that is homeowners. We can say, hey, those quitclaim deeds that have been passed down to you for generations since 1950, since y'all came up from the South, guess what? Y'all got to upgrade those deeds to warranty deeds. Excuse me, you will be put out. This is not your meeting.
In a minute.
This is not your meeting. This is a value information that we're trying to do. Mr. Crowley, you could please leave.
Enjoy your day.
We want to help educate you to upgrade those quitclaim deeds into warranty deeds. That's the only guarantee that we got to prevent deed fraud. Not 100%, but it's definitely a stronger prevention than a quitclaim deed. A quitclaim deed don't even guarantee you that you're the owner. Many of you probably think you own your property. When the last time you cleared your title? He raised his hand. My colleague Santana Hill is going to talk about how to clear title and title entanglements that you might have. A lot of people just pass down their property to quitclaim deeds because that is the preferred way to pass down your property through your family, but not through the real estate transaction. Not when you're buying a home. Not when you're buying a home. You don't want no quitclaim deed when you're buying a home. You use quitclaim deeds to pass down your property in your own family bloodline. That way, you know the history of that property and it's have a clear title. But when you actually purchasing a property, you want a warranty deed that guarantee you that you're going to have a clear title and also that you are going to be the owners. lease until you pay off that mortgage. If you don't pay off that mortgage, then the bank gonna own your property. But that's the kind of action that we need to take. Okay, so I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Santana Hill, to go over, but I want to leave you with this last note. I had more, but I'm going to end it here. Deed fraud in Detroit isn't just a crime. It's the result of decades of housing inequality. Fixing it requires both protection of this injustice. We have to fight for the protection of our right to own property here in America by ending the housing discrimination practices of American banks and financial institutions. That's a hard fight, but we can do it. But while we're fighting to end that systemic racism issue with the banks, we can take action now and be proactive by taking these quick claim deeds that they gave us and say, hey, you might gave us this, but we're going to upgrade it and have our warranty deed. Thank you very much.
And before the next speaker, if you will allow me, no political campaigning in this event. You can do so outside of this space, but not in this space. This is a very serious matter. We're talking about deed fraud. We're not talking about campaigns right now. So news alert, commercial. Do not politically campaign in this space at this time. We are focused on what? On what? Okay, thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you, Council Members Waters, Callaway, and Joanna Underwood. Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Santana Hill, and I am Councilmember Waters' Chief of Staff, and along with Joanna, have been working in the housing spaces for a very long time. So you're hearing terms, quitclaim deed, warranty deed, title, things like that. The purpose of this town hall is to educate you and bring you a call to action on what to do next. In this district, we have over 130 active cases of deed fraud. Now, what can you do to protect yourself? This lovely dais is going to tell you what you can do to protect yourself. We have Ted Phillips of the United Community Housing Coalition. We have Robert Donald of Lakeshore Legal Aid. And we have Emma Howell from Detroit Title and Escrow. So when I say title, what do I mean? Title is just the fancy word for ownership. Title documents are fancy words for deeds, purchase agreement, and such. When we refer to tangled title, what we mean is that there was a deed filed somewhere that you don't know about, there was a lien on the property somewhere that you don't know about, or somewhere, someone down the line purported to own your property or did have a legitimate claim of ownership through the passage of time. Now, what tangled title can cause a problem for you is if you need renovations. A lot of lenders for renovations will not allow you to borrow any money against a property that you cannot prove your ownership of. Also, when it comes time to sell or otherwise dispose of the property, it can lead to issues down the line because title issues and tangled title issues don't just disappear. They get carried forward. When you do a title search, you're actually looking at the ownership history of the home as far back as you can. And at any point, issues can crop up. But the purpose of this town hall is to teach you what to do if that happens to you. In Michigan, real estate transactions are public record. And that is why you may be seeing people able to file deeds, because on certain websites, you can see the owner, you can see the lender, you can also see the previous ownership history. And certain unscrupulous people will use the things we do not know to prejudice us. Now, Joanna mentioned that the banking landscape in Detroit is derelict. A lot of Detroiters purchase their homes through other means than a mortgage. There are cash transactions, there's land contracts. And with those different transactions comes a different way of doing things. Because when you buy a home for cash, there is no requirement that you do a title search. When you buy a home on a land contract, a lot of people don't know that you actually have to take that document down to the Register of Deeds and file it so that there is a record that you have a claim against that property. And furthermore, we have all been struggling with taxes, ain't that right? Tangled title can impact your ability to clear up your tax issues and get on a payment plan. So when you leave here today, I want you to be able to lay out 3 steps to protect yourself from deed fraud. At this time, I'm going to welcome our next speaker from the United Community Housing Coalition, Mr. Ted Phillips.
Thank you, Santana. Is this on? Okay. Hi, my name is Ted Phillips. I'm the Executive Director of the United Community Housing Coalition. I wanted to cover some of the things that we do that relate to this and also just some of the things we do in general. There are clearly an issue here is making sure that Detroiters don't lose their homes. There's some other ways that you do as well. We're here for deed fraud today. That's the main focus, but I will touch on those others a little bit. We provide legal representation for tenants and others in 36th District Court, particularly since right to counsel went into effect a few years ago. We're one of 5 agencies that do that. We partner with 3, Lakeshore Legal Aid, who's here today, Michigan Legal Services, and Legal Aid and Defender. That court has about 20,000 cases, over 20,000 cases a year. It is massive. Most of the cases are landlord-tenant eviction cases. There are, however, a lot of land contract cases as well, about 400 a year. And we have discovered deed fraud issues in land, and I'm going to illustrate one of those a little bit later. And also, we intervene in land contract cases in a lot of other ways. Land contract, there was a study done in the last year or so, which showed for a period of 2010 to about 2017 or so, they looked at a period later. In 23, they did the study to see what happened. You don't buy a land contract and get your deed the same day. How many of those actually resulted in people getting their deeds? For the out-of-state investors, out-of-country investors in Detroit, 5% of those buyers actually ended up getting their deed. For the in-city, in-state investors, it was 100% better, 10%. In other words, most land contract buyers, there's some reason or another why they end up not getting their deed, regardless of whether it's deed fraud or something else. And that's a major problem as well that we try to address. We also engage in case management work with our tenants to try to look at those that missed their first hearing. We do some outreach. It's a huge problem in Detroit with 20,000 cases. About 25% every year end up in default judgments. Those that miss their first hearing, we go out, knock on doors, do letters that we take directly to the post office. Part of the problem in Detroit, an enormous one, is the lack of postal service to our communities. And that has been an issue since 2020. And I won't get political, but you can figure out why. And that results in people not being aware, not showing up. We try to combat that by discovering that, because we're there every day. One or another of our agencies are there every day to cover every case, to be available for every case. Not everybody comes to us and wants our services, but they're there. So we do that as well. We also provide very limited, but some financial assistance to tenants that are facing eviction because they can't pay the judgment. They don't have enough money to do it, that we may get the money amount lowered on what was claimed by the landlord, but they still can't pay the rest. So that's there as well and very crucial. We also provide other support if tenants are not, or land contract buyers are living in a house that they can no longer stay in because it's not livable, then they need to be someplace else. We work with them to help them relocate and find decent and affordable housing. And we also work with persons with other kinds of issues, subsidized housing issues, for example. Sometimes they're being cut off because they just simply didn't understand what they were required to provide to the Section 8 provider or something like that. We also this year have a pilot program that's just going into effect right now for eviction diversion. I'm really excited about that. It only applies to a couple of landlords, but we're hoping to get something together on that that will be able to intervene before cases are filed for court. In addition to that, we've done a lot of work on tax foreclosure, and I'm really glad to hear that somebody from the Wayne County Treasurer is going to be addressing later. I would love to hear what she has to say. We've done work on that since 2003, and have been probably the longest running nonprofit that has done tax foreclosure work. We try to connect individuals with payment plans that the Wayne County Treasurer has of various natures. We try to help them get documents together where they're lacking a deed, whether it's a quitclaim deed or whatever kind of deed, where they're lacking that, or it's not been filed, or it wasn't recorded because of some defect or whatever, where they don't have a principal residency exemption, which simply says to the city of Detroit, I live there and I'm the owner, and they're entitled to a lower tax rate because of that, where they haven't filed a property transfer affidavit because they didn't know they were supposed to do that, which simply is something that you file when you buy a home and you're living there. When you buy a home, you file the property transfer affidavit. When you're living there, you file the principal residency exemption. We also help, the HOPE program was alluded to earlier. We work with that. We worked on the predecessor to that. We've worked on a lot of things there. There's been a lot of great improvement over the years with what the state calls the poverty tax exemption, which is simply a reduction in your taxes if you are low income. And Detroit has made amazing progress on that, much so more so than any place else in the state that I've seen. You can get 100% exemption if you're at a certain level, 50% at another, 25, and I think they even go down to 10%. And we also work with homeowners to get into their principal residence exemption so taxes can be lowered. We've worked on purchasing homes. We've worked through the tax process. Our Make It Home program, which came in 2017, we've managed to get a little over 1,700 homes in that time. This is a project we have with the city of Detroit where they're able to take properties out of tax foreclosure after it's foreclosed March 31st. And I should note, in terms of tax foreclosure, that has been one of the biggest damages to Detroit homeowners since the changes came in 1999 of anything. And it still continues to be and there's been enormous progress made on that. No one wants to diminish that, but it is still a major problem. March 31st is a crucial deadline. If you have neighbors that are confused, they got a yellow bag on their door and they don't know what that means. You saw them get a yellow bag on the door. That means they are in tax foreclosure. They would have gotten that yellow bag last October, November, December, in that era. There's all sorts of things happening now in February. I don't know the exact date, but there are court hearings. Administrative hearing, I believe, is February. And there are court hearings after that, but then the last day to take action is March 31st. And if they don't, that property can be lost. There are a few things that can sometimes be done after that, and we advocate to the very end to try to get those things done, but they shouldn't count on us. If you know neighbors that are in trouble, please reach out to them. We do homeowner counseling. We do a little bit of mortgage foreclosure counseling, and I say a little bit because most of the people that we counsel, that we work with, are not getting the mortgages, as was just explained, for a variety of reasons. Their income, the neighborhood they live in, whatever. Those are battles we need to fight. But at the moment, we're not going to turn people away because they don't have a mortgage. But the ones who do have a mortgage, we do try to work with them. The ones we see a lot of are those with reverse mortgages. Those are seniors and reverse mortgages are in my estimation, a very bad tool. It came in during the Reagan administration, but whatever. But people get in trouble for missing their taxes, for missing a payment on their insurance, for having some minor repairs to their property. They end up being seniors, losing their homes. So if you know any seniors in your community that are talking about, I got this notice of a mortgage foreclosure, again, I would urge you to refer them our way. We help homeowners put certain documents together. We help prepare deeds. The PRE to PTA. We file claims of interest. What's a claim of interest? That's something where there's not anything recorded, either because it wasn't a recordable document or because there's a silly law like the state law that doesn't allow for a land contract to be recorded if there's taxes owed. What one has to do with the other is ridiculous, but at any rate, in those cases, we can file a claim of interest, or we can file what's called a memorandum of land contract to give the owner of that property or the buyer of that property some recorded interest with the Wayne County Register of Deeds. So if somebody else comes along and forges a deed and sells it to a third party, that third party is aware of you as the occupant claiming that you have a right to that property. We also have a land contract buyout program that we've developed, and we're trying to get increased funding for that. And the way that works is as we run into persons in land contracts that are about to lose them. And again, I just got through telling you 5 to 10% of the, in the one study, 5 to 10% of those with a land contract were those actually coming, getting their deed. So we try to engage in as many as we can where there's a lot of times in court, we're finding them there, looking at ones that have paid down to $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000. It's a common thing that people get into land contracts because they can't get a mortgage. They get into land contracts because they had a big tax return that year. They get into land contracts because had one guy, unfortunately, we weren't able to help him. That was many, many years ago. He literally gave his arm for his house. He got money for that and then ended up using that to put down to buy a house. They put that down. They put work into the house. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into the house for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, pay the property down. The values go up as they're going up. We just heard today that values in Detroit have went up, I think it was 10% in the last 5 years or something like that, last 2 years, whatever. Values are going up. Land contract seller decides, well, I want to find a way to get this back. Well, you didn't pay the taxes. Well, you missed a payment. Well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. We try to intervene in those to buy out those land contracts, enter into a new land contract with them, 0% interest. They pay back what we paid off to get it done, and they save their home that way. So that's another program that we do. We have a repair program. It's a very small one. It's a grant type program. But we do have that. We initially got that to be able to work on some of the homes that we buy. When you're buying a home that investor has lost to tax foreclosure, well, guess what? If they lost it to tax foreclosure, they also didn't make any repairs. So there's going to be things that are needed. We do not buy houses where the place is falling down, where it's a danger to somebody. We can't do that. But we can sometimes replace furnaces, replace roofs, things like of that nature. We also have some money, again, very small, I don't want to overplay this, but for repairs in general. And sometimes that team is able to connect people up to other repair programs. So we work on trying to do things like that. What we've experienced with deed fraud and how it's played out, I wanted to get into that now. I will say that I noticed there's a much greater concern about it now than there has been in the past. There's much greater effort to find ways to enforce, and I find that very encouraging, incredibly encouraging. And the fact that I heard there's 130 identified homes, is going to pass something to our council member here to ask if we could get involved in in this district, I'm not saying it, and that's great news. But some examples of what we've had, a recent one and a distant one, is so you can understand my frustration for what has happened in the past. Recently, one of our attorneys from Michigan Legal Service, a partner agency, not a UCHC attorney, but was in court and raised this one. She had an owner that had missed her first hearing. It was an eviction case. She came to the second hearing, and Ms. Luan from Michigan Legal Services, we always check all the court files because we're there, discovered that in the court file, it was kind of weird. There was a notice of tax forfeiture. Well, why isn't there a tax foreclosure deed? Why isn't there a deed from the Wayne County Treasurer? And there is a quitclaim deed. I'm not going to name the group because I'm going to screw it up. But there was a quitclaim deed from a group that sounded, for all intents and purposes, like it was a church. It was that kind of name. It wasn't St. Mary's or whatever, but that kind of a name. And it was from them to them. After we dug into it, we discovered that there was no tax foreclosure ever. This person that came to see us, who was being evicted, was the legitimate owner. The scam artist was represented by a law firm that said, oh, well, we've got other paperwork. And at the next hearing, I don't think they even showed up. The case was dismissed. In the course of doing that, though, we didn't stop there. We didn't stop there. Suzanne then went and looked at, well, what else has this company filed? And found that there was 5 other cases. Unfortunately, one of them, there was already an eviction on. This is an August case that she got involved in. The eviction happened in June because it was a case they raised in February of last year. 5 other cases. One of those cases involved a 70-year-old woman who had lived in her home since she was 10 years old. 10 years old. Now, she wasn't there at the moment because she had some repair issues, just staying with her daughter. Okay. So she didn't even know she had a case. She had a default judgment against her, didn't know anything whatsoever about it until we were able to do outreach to her. We did that. Brought her in, same MO, same thing as the other one, and we were able to get that one set aside too. All of the other cases except for the one that was already evicted, we were able to get to and salvage. And the other good news is we reported this to the authorities, and they are going after this group. And that is incredibly encouraging, incredibly encouraging. And I would contrast that against what I ran into a little over 10 years ago, to be fair. No present persons in government, as far as I know, are still there, but what I ran into over 10 years ago. And that was a case where a woman came to me and she was just distraught. She had bought a home, one of those $1,000 homes that you hear about, and she went in to fix it up and discovered that the real owner came in and said, what do you do? Actually, the real owner waited until she had done some work, which is another angle there. But what her story was is that she went to 400 Monroe. You all know what's at 400 Monroe, right? Two major offices. She went to the 5th floor. If you're the 5th floor is the Wayne County Register of Deeds. She went and she described getting off the elevator, standing at a computer, a kiosk, whatever, and she's kind of befuddled and looking at it and with money in her hand. And somebody walks out in a suit. This is in the winter, cold, walks out with a suit. There was somebody there and said, are you here to buy one of those $1,000 homes? Yeah, I want a home, yeah. Well, here, give me your money and go down, have a soda downstairs at a bar, and come back in an hour and I'll have it for you. Well, he didn't just take her money and run out the door. He gave her a deed. He gave her a beautiful looking deed, supposedly from the Wayne County Treasurer. She came in to see me, I don't know, maybe a month or so later, after she went into the home, did some work and lost even more money. And only because we did so much work around tax foreclosure did I look at it and say, something's wrong here before you even tell me the story. They weren't doing deeds at this time. The name on it didn't make any sense. Prior treasurer, not the current treasurer again, but still it didn't add up. And then she went in and told me this story. But she had this thing about her. She kept saying, Mr. Phillips, I went to the Register of Treasurers. I went to the Treasurer of Register. I mean, she was very befuddled in putting it together. They're both in the same building. It took me about 60 seconds, and I'm not that hot shot of an attorney that it shouldn't took a normal counselor to get the same thing in 2 minutes as opposed to 1. That's just the way she spoke. So I got with the Treasurer's office. I'm pretty sure former Judge Szymanski was there at that time as well. The other story is going to involve him as well. But we went over and reported this and thought, well, they'll do something about it. A few months later, I'm talking to somebody from the deed fraud task force, and they bring up something else. And I said, yeah, well, okay, here's what that's about. But by the way, what did you ever do with whatever that address or case name was? And their response was, They couldn't figure it out because they couldn't figure out whether she went to the Wayne County Treasurer or the Register of Deeds. And I said, she didn't tell you she went to the 5th floor? What's on the 5th floor? She didn't tell you that she was approached by somebody not wearing a winter jacket in the middle of the winter, and they came from a door that was kind of behind the others? And what else is up there? It didn't dawn on them what to do with that. That was 10 years ago. Another case we had, 36th District Court. Tenants in for an eviction. Landlord who lost the property a year before that is in trying to evict the tenant. Produces a payment agreement with the Wayne County Treasurer with whiteout over the date. Who else is old enough to remember whiteout, right? Over the date and something else typed in. I mean, it would take nothing to figure out this is a fraud. Our attorney raised that, judge wouldn't buy it. She convinced him to put the case over to the afternoon. She called me. I called Deputy Treasurer Szymanski and asked, well, is there anybody you can, I'll go over, former probate judge. He goes over, explains to the 36th District Court judge exactly what happened. Okay, so the judge dismissed the case. And did what else? Don't do that again, Mr. Landlord. That's the punishment. Now, if that person hadn't had us, that tenant would have been evicted. If we hadn't had the ability to get a hold of a government official who would be willing to drop everything and go over to the court, she would have been evicted. And the punishment for that landlord for that fraud was don't do that again. Yeah. So it's good to see that now we are taking this more seriously, and I'm encouraged by that a great deal. Common circumstances that we see on deed fraud include what I call just outright theft, and the best example of that is sort of the tax thing that I talked about, that fraudsters will look at property that's in tax foreclosure, do a deed, either forge a deed from the real owner to themselves, and then sell to a third party. They'll record that and sell it to a third party. And so that's a common thing, and they will hope that the original owner just assumes they lost it for tax foreclosure. That's the game being played there. And they sell it to a third party after recording their deed, so the third party can either legitimately or pretend they didn't know anything about it. And if they bought a home that's in the chain of title, technically that it may be hard for the original party to win that case. We also see vacant property being sold all the time. We've had one recently that came to us that bought a property from somebody that was Detroit Land Bank's property. Now, he should have checked title on that, which he didn't, and that would have caught it, but that happens a lot too. We also see vacant homes with non-owners not only selling them, but renting them out. It's a huge problem as well in the city of Detroit, with tenants paying security deposit, first month's rent, et cetera. And of course, the kicker here is that the seller or the renter, the landlord, they just disappear. They don't have an address. They don't have any way to find them, and they disappear. So they're not able to be sued. And then there's the dead person example, I think, which we see a lot. Sometimes the swindler is so bad they can't even figure out to not sign the deed after the dead person died, which is pretty easy to show that that's a problem. But usually they'll have that part together. And a lot of times, sadly, a good many of those are family squabbles though as well. We've got one right now where on the east side where the stepson signed his mother's name, dated it 2 days before she died, and the party living in the property is saying, well, no, this was supposed to go to me, et cetera, and we're fighting that out. So those are some that we see a lot. I think that other kinds of things that we look for are sellers that will provide no recordable document for one reason or another. Either they just flat out did it wrong, or in a land contract sense, if there's not taxes paid, there'll be a problem there. Okay. One of the things that should be noted, and it was mentioned earlier, but it's worth re-mentioning, and that is that on land contracts, which is sometimes the only way that some of our residents can buy. We don't need to ban land contracts. We need to have better rules around them, and we need to make sure that people who commit fraud are burned, and we need to make sure there's legal help for persons in land contract forfeiture and things like that. But what we'll see very often with land contracts is there is no title company there. There is nobody to be able to check what have you. There is nobody to be, it's usually between a sophisticated investor selling and a homeowner buying for the first time and excited about being a homeowner and giving that $5,000 down that was their life savings or whatever. And what, happens there is very often, it's not really fraud, but it is the equivalent of it, that there's a contract that's signed that doesn't match anything that's said. The seller says, I'll pay all the taxes. They don't. They buy a house that owes a bunch of taxes. The seller says, I'll put a furnace in. They don't. The buyer ends up putting a furnace in. All of those kinds of things. And then there's just basic stuff that people do not understand, like 11% interest that can be charged, like balloon payments and all of things like that. So we see those all the time. Obligations to get home insurance, which is very difficult for many homes and many people in Detroit. All of those things can lead to later on a land contract forfeiture action and losing that home after tens of thousands of dollars are put into it and tremendous amount of work is put into it as well. Some steps to avoid getting into a fraud situation. Again, make sure that if you're buying, make sure that you've checked to see, what's recorded. I know that's easier said than done. Sometimes it's hard to get a time to be able to get with the register of deeds. Hopefully that can be changed so there's more of ability to do walk-in. But being able to check that, recording what you get so that you have your interest on record. And if something you're finding is it's not recordable, then there's things that can be made that are. Again, the claim of interest is one thing that can be made to be recorded. When you're paying on your land contract or whatever, to make sure that you have kept documentation of that, because the other thing we see all the time, we get many cases coming in where the seller is claiming that there's thousands of dollars owed more because there's been nothing paid. Make sure that when you're getting a receipt on your land contract that you're getting at least a periodic, if not a balance each time, because that's something else that creeps up as well. If you know that somebody else what we hear all the time is, well, I got this notice, it made no sense. I figured it was a scam that I got this thing from the court saying I'm going to be evicted from my house. That's ridiculous. Well, don't ignore that. Get help. I mean, there is help right now for that with Right to Counsel. Hopefully it'll continue to be funded and those are things that you can get help to deal with. So anyway, I know there's a lot of others here. I don't know how much time I took, but hopefully some of that was useful. And there's some flyers in back that I had. If they run out, I've got some more here with the services we provide and some numbers to call. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Phillips. What I want to know from you, Attorney Phillips, is whether or not people can bring their deeds to you so you can check it out and make sure that they have either warranty or quit claim deed. For folks that don't know, I'm sure we have some people who don't know exactly what they have, but I want to encourage people to get things checked out in advance. And I want to encourage people to go down to the Register of Deeds and ask them for all the paperwork that's pertaining to your address. I want to also make sure that you know that you need a primary residence, a PRE. That's happening. Speaking of that, I see we have two people here from the Board of Review. We have Mr. Donwell over there. So don't hesitate to ask him any questions, okay? And then we have Dr. Patman over there, who works for the Board of Review. For those of you who might need some help with the HOPE application and your property taxes, I know that that process is coming up again pretty soon, you know. So, but Attorney Phillips, is there an income restriction for people to call up UCHC to request help if they need somebody to review their deed? And maybe Lakeshore can speak to that when they come up next anyway, but I wanted to ask you that. Attorney
Right
Phillips.
now, our main focus is on dealing with tax foreclosure. And I should have mentioned, we have two events coming up. February 9th and February 23rd. There's a number to call, 313-725-4560. If that's an issue, then please feel free to call and reserve a spot there. Yes, we can review other kinds of things. I don't know that we have a way to do that in mass volume at the moment, but certainly we can review if there's other issues that creep up through that.
Then I'll mention the treasurer.
313-725-4560. We're at 2727 Second. That's right next to Cass Tech High School. February 9th and February 23rd. I understand that there may be some events the city is planning to, but I don't have dates on those yet. 2727 Second. It's right next to Cass Tech High School.
Okay, so thank you, Attorney Phillips. Next, we have Robert Donald, Lakeshore Legal Aid Homes for Generations.
Morning, everyone. My name is Robert Donald. I am here from Lakeshore Legal Aid. Lakeshore has been in and operating around the city of Detroit for over 50 years. We have 7 locations on all 3 of the counties, and we have a small office up in St. Clair County. I've been practicing for about 30 years before getting to Lakeshore Legal Aid. Lakeshore, I put flyers on the table in the back. Lakeshore covers a range of issues, deeds being one of them, but we also have community consumer issues that we can handle for you. We have a probate clinic, which I host every 3rd Friday of the month. So and to respond directly to the councilman's question, if you have a question about your deed, call our call line. That's 888-783-8190. Those attorneys will talk to you for free. 888-783-8190. They will talk to you for free. They will listen to your issue and give you advice on how to proceed. If your issue is highly technical, they will direct you to one of those 6 locations where you can meet with one of our attorneys in our litigation unit. For us to take your case, we do have income restrictions. We focus on low income and senior citizens. Low income, don't ask me. I don't do that part. I'm just an attorney. My team does all the processing and the intake. And if they were here, they could tell you exactly what low income is and what 150% to 200% poverty level is. I don't know. I do know that we see a lot of deed entanglements when typically at our probate clinic, people come to us at that clinic when they've been living in the house and someone has passed and they need something. They need to get the water turned on. They need to get the electricity turned on. They need to deal with Wayne County about the taxes. And those agencies will not talk to them because they're not on the deed. So they come to us and we try to help them get into probate so that they can get the deed out of the deceased person's name and into their name so that they can handle the business of that property. Excuse me. We also have a quiet title unit in the CAS office that Mr. Phillips talked about. They assist folks who have a dispute with someone about the title of the property that they are staying in. So when you talk about deed fraud, you're talking about, well, wait a minute, this is supposed to be my house, I'm living here, but someone else is claiming to be the proper and titled owner of my house. That requires a fight, right? And that fight is called a quiet title over in circuit court. Our unit down in the CAS office at 2727 second, we have skilled attorneys that handle that type of situation for the residents. Again, if there is nothing that you don't do when you leave this place, find out what type of deed is the last deed recorded on your property.
Yes. You
The
must
last
know that.
deed recorded on your property. Why? You want to make sure that one, you are the owner of that property. That last deed should say that you are the owner of that property.
Mhm.
And two, you want, as the other speakers talked about, you want that deed to be a warranty deed, not a quit claim deed, only because a quit claim deed conveys to you whatever the previous owner had. And again, if it's all in your family, then you know what the previous owner had. But if you bought that from me and I didn't have any interest in that property, I sold you nothing, because the quit claim deed can only convey to you what I have. A warranty deed warrants that whatever you are buying is what you're going to get. And if you come back to me and say, you didn't sell me this, you sold me a half interest or a third interest because I don't own the property by myself. I own it with family members, or I own it with a business or whatever. You can then use that warrant to take me to court and say, hey, I want my money back because you didn't sell me all that you told me you were going to sell me. So if you don't do anything else today, when you leave this place, go get a copy of the last deed reported on your property. One, to make sure that you own it, and two, like I said, to make sure that it's a warranty deed, or like Santana, I believe, was Miss Underwood said, upgrade it to a warranty deed. With all of the services that we have that are on the flyer in the back, deed fraud being one of them, of the other services, you can call. You don't have to leave your home. You can call the call line that I gave you and ask for assistance, not only for deed fraud, not only for probate, not only for consumer, but arrange for subsidized housing for, as the councilman said, to review the deed. You say, look, I don't know what this deed says that I own, or what this deed says, or like Mr. Phillips said, I'm about to buy a home. I need someone to look over this paperwork. Or I bought a home yesterday and I want somebody to look over this paperwork. It always is a good idea to have a lawyer to look over legal documents, right?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, and I agree with the councilwoman, look, there are dirty folks in all professions. Dirty folks as lawyers, dirty folks as judges, dirty folks as cops. There are dirty folks in all professions. So yes, you may run into those folks, but if you come to one of our agencies, more than likely you're gonna get a straight shot at what you need. So if you need some legal documents looked over, you should definitely call UCHC or call our call line for Lakeshore Legal Aid. Yes, ma'am. Again, call in. Our call line is free. Doesn't cost you a dime. 888-783. Yes, ma'am. Right there on the flyer. 8190. That's right. All right. Everybody got that? And if you don't have it, again, there's flyers in the back, both with all the services we have and our Homes for Generation Clinic, which is coming up the third Friday of February. And that's all I have. Donald, like the duck. Donald. Yes, ma'am. It used to be Donald like Trump until somebody
No.
became president. Then it became Donald like duck.
What if Donald Duck was the president? We'd be so better off.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All right, so thank you. Did you all find all this information helpful thus far? All right, so next we have Emma Howe from Detroit Title and Escrow.
Good afternoon, good morning, hello, what up, though, Detroit? Thank you for coming out. See, I knew I'd wake you up. How you guys doing this morning? Good, good, good. First and foremost, thank you very, very much for extending the opportunity for my team and I, Detroit Title and Escrow, to be a part of this. I've been stomping the streets of Detroit and fighting with deed fraud and other tangled title for the last 26 years. And one of the things that I've found and what I hear and a lot of what you've heard up to this point is quick claim deed versus warranty deed. That's what we're talking about, right? Let's look at it like this. Right now, today, I want to give you a warranty deed for the Northwest Activity Center. Who got $1,000 they can give me right now? $1,000 right now. And I'll give you a deed, a warranty deed for this building, Northwest Activity Center. That's what they told you to get, correct? I got $5 in the bank. I'm going to give you a warranty deed. You're going to find out I don't own the property. You're going to sue me because I gave you a warranty deed. Guess what you're going to get back? $5. That's it. You want to understand why? And I get it. And we're right. Quick claim deed, warranty deed. But what we're missing is the most important product and the reason I'm on this panel. Title insurance. Title insurance. That's what we want to think about when we're dealing with real estate transactions. Quick claim deed, I'm deeding you the interest I have, if any. If I own a piece of the property, a third of the property, and I want to deed you that on a quick claim, great. I don't have any interest. I'm defrauding you. Great. I'm giving you a quick claim deed and you're giving me your last $1,000. Okay, scratch the quick claim deed. You know what? I want a warranty deed from you. You look like you're an honest person and I trust you. You're my friend. We get together every week for dinner and lunch. We at the dinner table during the holidays and we're discussing property and I've known you a long family friend and I trust you. So you're going to give me a warranty deed. Joe's good for it. Joe's been around. Joe wears a suit and he takes care of business. I'll take a warranty deed from Joe because I know there won't be any problems with that property. So you give Joe $1,000 and Joe give you a warranty deed. You go to sell your property. You have challenges, you have issues. Perhaps Joe didn't defraud you, but maybe Joe wasn't really clear what was going on with that tangled title. But you got that warranty deed. But what you did not get was a title search. And that's the reason I'm on the panel. So it's bigger than just the type of deed. It's what comes along with the protection of your deed. So when you're buying property, when you're buying real estate, there's a few things that you're doing. First and foremost, you're investing in yourself. Say that again. I'm investing in myself and in my family. Generational wealth. So you want that generational wealth, that investment to be protected. And how do we do that? We do that with what's called title insurance. That's what you want to think about. So yes, you want the warranty deed, but you want the warranty deed coupled with the title insurance, because that's what protects your investment from an insurance standpoint. So what our role is as a title company, Detroit Title and Escrow, or any title company, is whether you're doing a purchase as cash, you're doing a purchase as a land contract, or you're doing a purchase where you're getting a mortgage, you want to hear the word, or you want to bring up, I want to go through a title company. That's what I want. It starts with a title search. So where everyone is saying, go down to 400 Monroe and pull your documents. Absolutely, you can go down there and pull your documents. But let me ask you, do you even know what you're looking at? And I mean that in the sense of, yes, give me the last deed to my property. Great, you got the last deed. Give me the other documents related to my property, and I give you all these papers. Where do you start with your review? because it's bigger than just getting the last deed. It's who else is on the property with me? How do we own the property? A third, a half? The language in those documents will dictate the layout of the ownership over 40 years for title standards. And depending on how those documents are the content will dictate how you own the property. That's what we do. We pull that search. We put a title report together. Title search, also known as a title report, before you transfer any money when you're thinking about buying property. And then we go over that title search with you and we lay out, yes, John owns the property. However, John was in a bankruptcy. John had liens against him. John is in the middle of a divorce. John had an old mortgage on the property. There's some old liens on the property before John even acquired the property. So can John give you a warranty deed? Yes, he can. But before we get to that point of discussing the deed and you going to the bank and pulling out the money to pay John, let's talk about how he's going to clear up these matters that we found in our search as the title company. So the goal for us, again, is to identify any deficiencies with that title search, discuss with John or whomever, okay, John, you're going to get $35,000 for the property, but you owe $5,000 in taxes. You got $300 in a water bill, sometimes more, but that's a whole nother panel and topic. Or you have an underlying mortgage that we need to pay off. Also, John, it appears that you was married. What's going on with your wife? Is she deceased? Are you guys in a divorce? We need to take care of all of that. Now you thought you were going to get 35, but because of all the things that we've identified, you're going to walk away with 15 because you got 20 in bills that we need to pay as the title company out of this money before you get the balance and you sign your deed. So again, part of what we do is our due diligence is to go through and identify all deficiencies, correct those before or at a table signing or before a transfer of deed for money. And then behind that, what you get is a title insurance policy. So we take that title search and we turn it into a policy. So you're thinking, well, how does this policy work, right? How does that protect me? Look at it from a auto insurance perspective. When you got to get auto insurance, you drive off the lot, you have auto insurance. So if you drive off the lot and you have an accident, you call the insurance company and say, hey, I just had an accident. I have title insurance on this property. I want to file a claim. Title insurance works the same way. When you go through a title company, us as licensed representatives, we work with different insurance companies and we do all of our due diligence and we clear up all the deficiencies that I just identified against John. Then we come to you and we say, yes, Mary, you can now purchase this property. You can give John the money. You can give us the money, however we handle that at closing. You'll pay John. You'll get your warranty deed, but you're also going to pay us for title insurance. And that title insurance is going to protect you for your investment. Guess what the beauty of that protection is? For the entire time that you own that property. So whether you own it for 10 months, you own it for 10 years, you own it for 50 years, you're insured with title insurance. So if for some reason there's any type of issue that comes up from when you acquired that property from John to you 5, 10 years in your property, you don't go chasing John for that $5. You call the title company or the insurance company and you file a claim. So that's the difference between a quick claim deed, a warranty deed, and what you really want. So you guys tell me, what do you really want when you're doing a transaction? Title insurance. And that's what you want to think about. So the typical, you really can't upgrade. You get a quick claim deed, you got what you got. If you have some deficiencies, we have to deal with it. You get a warranty deed, great. But if you didn't get a warranty deed with title insurance, you only got what that person have, and you hope that nothing comes about that so that you don't have to do a sue and find out they don't have any money. But if you get a warranty deed with title insurance, that's where you're protected. So right now, for those of you in the audience that may only have a quick claim deed, that's all you're going to get. So now the goal is for you is to do a search or to pull your documents, look at everything and make sure that you are in a good place, ownership is good, and you wasn't defrauded, and you're okay. If you have a warranty deed, great. Now what you want to think about is how can I get title insurance to go with my warranty deed? Or if you're thinking about buying a home, now you want to keep in mind, when I do purchase my home, not only do I want the warranty deed, but I want the title insurance that goes with the warranty deed, because that title insurance in turn gives you the investment protection as well as that generational wealth protection. What do I mean by that? If you got a warranty deed and you got title insurance and you pass tomorrow, because you have the title insurance and you've done your due diligence, there's going to be an easy transfer of title to your heirs. Yes, you may have to go through probate if you don't have your documents set up correctly, but what your family does not have to worry about are the tangles of title because of the unknowns of what took place when you acquired that property, because it's called title insurance, which makes it marketable. So that's what you want to keep in mind. So warranty deed with title insurance. And for clarity purposes, yes, cash transaction, you contact the title company. You want to go through a title company so they can do that due diligence and verify ownership and verify those liens and make sure all of that's taken care of. Land contract. You're buying on a land contract? Can you go through a title company and get title insurance? Absolutely you can. You want the same type of search. You do not want to transfer your down payment and not go through a title company and get a search and make sure a memorandum of land contract is recorded to protect your interest, which is called equity interest. So when you record that memorandum and you make that down payment and you make your first payment and every payment after, you're paying into your ownership. You have equity in that property. So you want to make sure that that's protected by the recorded memorandum, and you can, either the title company is holding the deed, or you think, before I make that last payment, I need to get a warranty deed in exchange for my last payment on my land contract purchase. And then, of course, we all know if you're getting a mortgage, the lender is saying you need to go through a title company, we want title insurance. But don't think just because you're paying cash or you're doing a land contract that you cannot go through a title company. 2 more things and I'm done. Do not run down to 400 Monroe and grab your own documents and you get that deed and it says, oh yes, the guy that you're negotiating with, yes, it's the deed on record right now, he owns it. And you say, well, I'm not going to go through the title company and save those $200 because it's only about $200, $250 for a search. I'm not going to go through them. I want to save that. And because you pull that last deed and that person's name is on record, that does not mean they're the owner. Yes, you're being defrauded. They've gone down there and they've recorded a fraudulent deed and they knew that you were going to run down there to the kiosk machine and you were going to pull that deed up. And now you've just got. You want to contact the title company and get that proper search. Just because that last deed is the deed that was recorded, it does not mean that they're the bona fide owner. Everything that has been identified on this panel that I've heard today is to the truth. We fight the cause and we fight it every day. Every day, my team and I. The deed was fraudulent. They prey on the elder. They prey on the properties that have been sitting and they've been abandoned. And they file these documents and they're fraudulent. But there are ways for you to protect yourself. You just have to seek for that information. But what I can leave you with today is do not go to 400 Monroe. Make sure you go to those proper folks, attorney, real estate agent, or title company to pull those documents and thoroughly review them with you. And almost every transaction that you're doing as a homeowner, buying, selling, go through a title company so that you get that proper title insurance. And what I failed to tell you is it's a one-time fee. Title insurance, you pay it at closing and you don't ever pay it again. You can't beat that. That's not something worth saying I want to put to the side and not invest, because it's worth it in the end. It creates and it protects that investment and that generational wealth. The last thing I want to ask you guys, and I think you've been asked this question multiple times, do you know what type of deed you have right now in your home? Okay, for those of you that know this, great. For those of you, when was the last time you pulled your deed or pulled those documents to look at them? Forever. So you need to do that. Everyone needs to go home, pull their deed, look at their deed. If you got to pull the deed for mom, or if you got to pull the deed for dad, look at it. The reason I say that is because for those that have owned their homes forever, you may be married and it's only the husband on the deed. You may be married and it's only the wife on the deed. You may have done a land contract and you paid it off years ago, but you didn't know that you needed to get a deed. You may have gotten property through an inheritance and it's 3 or 4 of you on the deed. I'm bringing these things up because as it was pointed out, now's the time you want to do home renovations, you want to sell the property, a family member may have passed, any of that, and you need to show ownership. And now you find out that on that deed, you're married. The husband's the only one on the deed, but you're married. He passed away. Property doesn't automatically go to you. You got to go through probate. But if he's still alive, you have a chance to rectify that by getting yourself added to the deed. Generational wealth. Perhaps grandma said this property was left to you as one of the siblings or as a sister or what have you. And you just think because she verbally said that, and maybe there's a will sitting somewhere, but you own it. No, you need to go through probate to get things in order as it impacts you creating or securing your ownership for the surviving heir. But you need to look at your documents to make sure that things are in place or you can get in front of these type of matters. So generational wealth, fighting fraud, getting in front of fraud, and protecting your investment. Again, Detroit Title and Escrow, we're one of the only minority-owned title companies in the heart of the city on Jefferson. My partners and I over at the table, we've been doing this collectively years, 75 plus years. And this is what we do all day, every day. And I'm honored again to be on this panel. Yes, ma'am. 313-846-5200. I'm in extension 1, but if you hit any of the prompts, you can get any of us that would be more than happy to help you. Yes, 313-846-5200. Emma, E-M-M-A. Yep. And we should have some brochures on the table as well. I got you. It's me. I'm extension 1. Thank you.
Wow. And so Emma got your attention, right, Ms. Howe? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, she did. And I've got how much is the title search now, Ms. Howe?
Our company, a residential search is $200, a commercial is $350, but again, we're talking residential. $200 can save you $2,000 plus.
Oh, it is indeed worth it. Absolutely. So I hope that you guys are taking this information down so that you don't find yourself in a position where they've literally stolen your property. There's nothing that you can do about it. So I really truly appreciate that. We're going to share these presentations out on social media and so forth too, because people need to be armed with this information. And so our last speaker today is from the Wayne County Treasurer's Office. Miss, let me make sure I get her name right here. Miss Dawn Lee Cotton. All right, go ahead, Dawn. And the Wayne County Treasurer's Office, and she'll tell you what you can do while you're here today. All right.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, council members, for having us out to speak with you all today. And so, as they were saying, all of this information is very important because if you are facing delinquent taxes that must be paid by March 31st, we have various payment plans that we can put you in. And one of our payment plans does require you to be the owner of the home. So if your deed is not in order and you're not able to get that PRE from the city of Detroit, then you wouldn't qualify for one of the payment plans that the Treasurer's Office offers, which is an interest reduction payment plan. So we're just here because it's pretty tax foreclosure season. You have until March 31st to pay your 2023 and prior year delinquent taxes. We are here to work with you. We have Representative Ms. Howell in the back who can help. I'm sorry, I said Tiffany's name wrong. Ms. Holly, who is a representative in the back who can help you look into various payment plans and options to help you save your property. We want to help you catch up on your delinquent property taxes. The Treasurer's Office, Mr. Eric Sabri, does not want your home, but we are required by law to collect delinquent property taxes. And so we want to do what we can to keep you in your home and provide any information that you need. So we're here to help. feel free to reach out to us, and thank you.
Oh,
Okay,
oh,
I'm
all
sorry.
right.
Okay, Dawn Lee Cotton, I'm the Deputy Treasurer for Wayne County Treasurer's Office for forfeiture foreclosure. And just here because if you have delinquent taxes, they're due by March 31st, 2023, and prior year taxes, we're here to help. We have various payment plans that we can offer you to, protect your home. If you would like to call us, you can call us at 313-224-5990. If you have questions today, we're here and we can help.
All right, we want to maybe get that.
5990, 224-5990.
Can I ask the question, please?
Yes, go ahead, Attorney Phillips.
In the past, the treasurer's office has taken property out of foreclosure if there was a probate case filed by, I believe, March 31st. Is that true still this year as well?
We are still looking at those if you contact our office and case by case, if you have a valid probate filed claim and you can provide that you are the personal representative, it's an open and active case, an inventory list. Once we look at it, we may pull it from foreclosure.
And there is probate help here with
Absolutely.
Lakeshore Legal Aid. There's also probate help with Michigan Legal Services. So I know that's a busy time for them as well to
Absolutely.
get these things done timely. So if you know somebody who should be filing probate, please encourage them to come to one of those agencies.
All right, I'm told that you can register. What can you do with the Register of Deeds office? I messed that up. You can register for deed fraud there. Yeah, we're gonna take a few questions. I don't know if we have a couple, I don't know if we have a couple people online, but we're gonna go right here, start right here in the audience first. Oh, I see we have a visitor with us from Ingham County Clerk. Barb Byron, raise your hand back there. All right, so it says, Property Alert is a free service provided by Bernard J. Youngblood, Wayne County Register of Deeds. It's a simple way to monitor your land records and warn you of potential property fraud. Instructions, it says, go to WayneCountyLandlords.com. All right. And then there's something that says Property Alert that should come up. Pick the method to create an alert, keyword or document. Follow the instructions on the screen. You will receive a confirmation email from Vanguard Support at govos.com once you confirm the alert. Submit a fraud complaint at the Wayne County mi.gov/register, or you can call 313-224-5869. So I want you all to make sure you pick up this flyer out there today as well. You also have Ms. Howell here who says they're ready to get busy. But let's take advantage of this information, folks. We're here to make sure that you're protected.
Councilmember, can I just
Yeah.
say one?
Yes. Mhm.
So Ms. Howe did tell you to do one thing, which was probate. Nobody likes probate. Probate is, look, I got a whole soapbox about probate. Probate is terrible. To take care of your property, we will do a ladybird deed for you. A ladybird deed, there you go. A ladybird deed keeps all your rights while you are here on this earth. But the day you pass, the title to your house passes to whoever is on the deed. That avoids probate altogether. If you do not have, folks are like, well, I'll just put it in my will and it'll pass to who I want in my will. Have anybody in here heard about will contest? I have been fighting in a will contest for 3 years about a piece of property. So a will is a great vehicle to transfer your assets. Your home, a ladybird deed is the better vehicle to transfer that piece of that asset from you to who you want it. Also, we have estate planning. So if you don't have a will, you don't have a power of attorney, you don't have a durable power of attorney, you need those things so that if you become incapacitated, the person who you want to take care of you will take care of you as a person who is designated by a court. We have those services available also on the third Friday of every month. Yes, we do. Lakeshore Legal Aid, we have estate planning along with our probate clinic on that third Friday.
Yeah.
Every month.
Yeah.
Every month except for December and November. We ain't there in December and November.
Okay, and all the information, make sure you sign in because all this information can be emailed to you. We will get the information out to you when we do follow-ups. Now, this not the only meeting, y'all. We citywide. We're going through all the districts. So for those who missed this opportunity to come out, we're going to be in District 1. I'm going to tell you exactly where and when towards the end. We're going to, matter of fact, we're going to do the next D-Hall presentation on February the 4th. And it's going to be from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And it's going to be at the Crowell Recreation Center. That is 16630 Lasher, Detroit, Michigan. Okay. So we're going to be there on the 4th. We have flyers in the back for those who came in. You can get those flyers. This is not the only meeting. We're going to go citywide. I know everybody got a lot of questions. We don't have a lot of time. So we're going to start here, and then I'm going to go there, okay? And please be kind and be respectful. Council member does have another event she want to go to, okay?
If you're not kind and consider, we're going to cut you off.
Okay, that's Callaway. She the boss. Okay. All right. Okay, hold on. We all this is recorded, so we want to make sure you say your questions on the mic.
My name is Adrian Jackson. My name is Adrian Jackson. I have a question for, I think your name is Ms. Hamilton?
Oh, no. Mrs. Howe.
Mrs. Howe. Ms. Howe, can you elaborate on the title insurance? I understand when you say insurance, you also made the example car insurance. With car insurance, we pay it every month. And the amount varies. Can you please go into a little bit more detail about the title insurance and where do you get it? The amount, what does it look like where do you get it? How much could it possibly be? And is it one time, pay one time, and it's for a lifetime, that kind of?
Well, the starts of it is the title insurance is paid at a closing. Or if you don't do a closing, you can always come back and a title company can review documents and provide title insurance. But traditionally, it's part of your closing costs. So when you buy property from someone, again, whether it's cash, land contract, or purchase, factored in with whatever the amount that you've agreed to pay this person for the property, there may be other costs associated with that if it's a traditional closing, okay? And one of those items is the title insurance. It's a one-time fee. It varies. It's state regulated because there's many underwriters. You know, we're not the only company with an underwriter. So just like, again, using the similarity of auto insurance, there's multiple underwriters that you can go to for title insurance, and they're nationwide. So they're larger than us, just the escrow company. And the fees are state regulated. It starts anywhere from $1,000 based on a $20,000 purchase. $1,000 purchase up to a $20,000 purchase. Title insurance runs you about $500. One-time payment. When you acquire the deed, you're paying for the property. Title insurance is factored into that. As you go up on that scale, if your property is $50,000, then the title insurance, you're probably looking at about $700. But again, it's a one-time fee. And when I say that price point regulated to that purchase price, so you're paying $50,000, title insurance is $700. If you have a claim, so what I mean by that is I've done a search, I've looked at this property, I've said, yes, John owns the property. John owns the property, what we call free and clear. No one has an interest in the property. There's no liens. John has no baggage that's coming with this property. He can transfer it to you on a warranty deed. I'm going to give you title insurance. If for some reason I missed something, meaning that I missed that John had a lien against him or he owed someone, you're 2 years in your home and someone knocks on the door. John owed me $5,000 and I need to get paid. You don't go in your pocket pulling out $5,000. You don't go trying to sue John because he gave you a warranty deed. You pick up the phone and you call myself if my company's still around, or you call the underwriter on your title insurance policy.
So Ms.
And you
Howe,
file a claim. Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Howe, here's what I want you to share with people. Here are some folks here, I think, who currently own their home.
Mhm.
They currently own their home. So they don't have title insurance right now, but they already own it and they've been in for 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be. What can they do? Can they go back now if they don't have title insurance and get that? Because some people probably don't have a mortgage on their home right now, right? So just those two scenarios. If they have a mortgage on their home, more than likely they have title insurance. But if they do not, and they've been in that home for a while, what can they do in terms of title insurance?
It's not a easy process. The first step, just to identify and make sure that they don't have any issues with their property, is it would start with they would need to do a title search.
Okay.
That title search would just identify, yes, they do own the property. How did they acquire the property? Whether it could have been a warranty deed or it was a quick claim deed. But within the time of them acquiring that property and who they acquired it from, were there any issues from that person and back? So just understand, we go back on the title search for 40 years. So for someone that has owned their home 5 years, 10 years, but you're saying, hey, as it was pointed out, do I have any title issues? Can I get title insurance? The first thing is to identify, do you have any issues that you didn't know about, breaks in the chain of title, other
And that's what
ownership?
You guys would do. You guys will identify that. when it
Correct.
comes-
We would identify that by way of a title search. And if there's no issues,
Okay.
then we can discuss how can we get you some title insurance. Perhaps it may not even be ideal to get title insurance. And I'll just be honest with you. If you've owned the property for 5 years and you haven't had any issues, but you just want to make sure, I would just say get a title search.
Okay.
Because now you just can sleep at night knowing I've had it this long, you've brought it to the forefront, but there's no title issues, I'm okay. But if it's a scenario where you're like, I just want that title insurance, yes, you can acquire it, but it's not just here, let me give you a title policy. There's a process with that. Now we have to have you fill out paperwork and we have to look at, you got a quick claim deed, you didn't get a warranty deed. Can we still give you title insurance? It would be a case-by-case review. There is the possibility that yes, you can get it, but it's on the case-by-case basis.
Okay.
I don't want to just say absolutely, because
Absolutely.
everyone has their own story. But I would say for those of you that have owned your home and you didn't know about the title company or you did not know about title insurance, you at least want to get a title search, if nothing else.
Yeah, so it really starts with a title search because a lot of our seniors, y'all haven't searched your title in quite some time. They put water bills. At one point in the city of Detroit, they put water bills on the property. You know, if somebody had sued you maybe years ago, they could put a lien. Now, in the state of Michigan, if it's somebody you owe or whatever, I think they could put a lien up to 7 years on your property, and then it expires. You know, so it's a lot of things that can be on your lien that you might not be aware of. Okay, and so that's why the title search is so important, and the scammers is banking on that you're not doing that title search. That's why they preying on you, because they say 9 out of 10, if you got a quick claim deed, that title probably didn't get searched. So they banking on that, that title is haven't been searched, and that they can go forward with the fraudulent, which making fraudulent documentation. I'm gonna take this woman right here.
Great afternoon, everyone. My name is Grace Moore. I'm a resident here in the city and business owner, senior advocate. And I recently represented Detroit at the Hope Global Forum in Atlanta in the first of the year. And what I learned about was other things that other states had in place to actually protect deeds. So with things such as transfer on death deeds, which we don't have in Michigan, but we do have the Lady Bird deeds, but without it being widely understood, especially in private and inheritance transfers, what step is the or can the city take to move from reacting to deed fraud, preventing it? And how can community partners like myself help reach seniors who are isolated and offline? Thank you everyone to everyone who was able to come out, but for those who aren't able to connect on social media and even be aware, what processes do we have in place?
Well, I can probably answer that question better than anybody. The city of Detroit didn't have a process. You in the beginning stages of this process. As a housing advocate for 10 years, housing policy reform has been neglected. It has been neglected, and we're 20 years behind. I advocated for something like this 10 years ago. This, like Ted Phillips said, he's happy, he's optimistic, but he has a little pessimistic attitude about it because this has been so persistent, and so thank God for Council Member Mary Waters and Callaway, who's taking interest into this, because we got leadership in the city now that has taken interest into this. This been an issue, this been a problem. So we at the beginning stages of this now, and we gotta move. All right, we're moving, maybe at a snail's pace, but we're moving. Okay, and we're gonna get it done. Only got time for 2 more questions, I know, but we gotta leave the room. I'm sorry, y'all. We gotta leave the room and we gotta clear it out. So I got you right here, and she was waiting patiently. I think it was a woman right here, and then everybody else, we can we got your number and email address. We will contact you. We'll follow up. This is not the only meeting. We have another one on February the 4th at Crowell Rec Center from 4 to 6.
Hi, my name is Donna Anthony. I'm from District 4. I'm so glad I'm here. I'm trying to figure out, I have a quitclaim deed, been in the house for 30 years, been in the solar panel rate. They did the PR to make sure I'm in the home. I have a mortgage, but I was listening to the lady. How do I find out about the title? If I went through all this process, is there already been a title on the house? It was quitclaim to me. I went through the PRA. I am the homeowner and I have a mortgage. Do I not have a title? That's what that title search is for?
Did you get when you bought, let me clarify the question. So when you bought the property, right, how you initially attained the property? Did you do a cash transaction? No, a quitclaim deed is just a receipt of purchase. So how did you purchase the house and who did you purchase it from?
30 years ago.
Okay, so you got a quitclaim deed because quitclaim deeds is what heirs property usually transfer. So the reason why you was able to have, thank God, a clear title because it was your father's house. Okay, and so that's why the city gave you the PRD, a PRE. Okay, and so if you have a mortgage on that property, that means you took out some kind of loan on the property. Did you take out the loan? Okay, so pay that loan. Pay that loan, and you can keep your house. All right.
Good afternoon. My name is Star Jackson. So the situation is I purchased a property in 2017 from the Wayne County Treasurer's auction. At that time, I deeded the property to my son. He's a minor. He's 14 years old. I did not know that children couldn't enter into contracts, but they are legally able to own property. So I managed that property. Last year, I was going to get into a payment arrangement. At the time I looked at it, it was no taxes due. Didn't think nothing of it. When I got to the kiosk to do the other properties, something told me just punch the address in. Put the address in, saw that someone had changed the deed over. Okay. I have other properties, so I said, well, maybe I paid it, But then when I got to the kiosk and put the address in, saw that someone else owned it, that their name was on there. Then I went down the rabbit hole. found out that they changed the deed last year in July. I filed a police report. They don't know anything about this type of situation, so they were confused. But I still filed the police report. Then I called the number at the Register of Deeds to, report. They never called me back. I went online, still didn't get a response. At that time, I was, really panicked. So I went down there and I said, hey, I need to speak with someone. This is for my son. So I was able to talk to the lady who runs that department. She said, okay, well, this is a different situation. He's a minor, so you have to bring him in. You have to bring in something, to show that he's a minor. So I brought his passport in and him, and they verified that he was a kid. I signed something stating that, I would like to move forward with charges against the individuals because they were able to pull the tape to see who actually came in and registered that deed, right? So I'm thinking everything is, started and I'm gonna get some relief. No, that's not how it works. They sent that over well, she said she sent it over to the prosecutor's office. I still hadn't had anyone to reach out to me. So I called the supervisor over there. At the time, the case had not even been sent to a detective. So by me calling, that's what, prompted, something to be done. So a detective reached out to me. She said, you do have a case. However, Ms. Jackson, we're so far behind, I can't tell you when I'm gonna be able to get to your case. She said, I'm the one that has been assigned to it, but we're still working on cases from 2023.
Yeah.
So this is why they're doing it, because it's a felony, yeah, but when will they be prosecuted?
But I want to just hit on 2 points there really quick. One, you need to take it a step further and you need to contact Robert and his team because you do need to start a quiet title action. It's a twofold. You do have a felony case and you do need to let Wayne County Fraud Division continue to do what they're doing and stay on that. But in order to restore title back to the original owner, you and your son, you do need to get your quiet title process started with the legal team. The other thing that you would want to speak with on the legal end is in order to own real estate, technically you should be 18 and older. So I'm not going to say you can't put your son on the property, but it's not the best direction to go. Heaven forbid you transpire today, your son, that property goes to him, but it has to go through an estate because he's a minor. So a lot of folks do that, but just be mindful of that just for future. So you got two things going, and I think don't wait on Wayne County to pursue this. You definitely need to get legal so that they can get a quiet title going to get that property back vested into you guys as owners. But do you want to speak with them about the minor? 18 and older is the age for bona fide ownership of real estate to prevent probate and other matters.
And also, when you go through a quiet title challenge, the court will determine ownership. And that is a fee for a lawyer. And that case can run up to $2,000, okay, to fight that case. I mean, that's just like the starting fee, okay? So, yeah, so Lakeshore Legal is here to assist people. Like he said, it's best to do early bird deeds. That way you can avoid the bird. I'm sorry. Lady bird deeds. I'm sorry. Well, thank you. Y'all own it. Okay, y'all learned. That's a sign that y'all was learning. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So get a lady bird deed so you can avoid the probate case. Probate, we're going to be nice to probate court, but we're going to try to be nice. We got some judges might be in there. Okay. We probably got to work with them judges. So we're going to be nice to probate, but lady bird deeds, because that way you can avoid the probate process, because even if you have a will, guess what? You still got to go to probate. And they taking a lot of property. And actually, I'm going to wrap it up, but I went to okay.
Yeah. So I want her, before she leaves, to connect with Lakeshore. Please, they can help you. and let's get this thing done that she was talking about. She said you needed legal help. I like to just get down to the, nitty gritty. So I, you have folks here. Do not walk away if you know that you need some assistance. You have them here. You have Ms. Howe, and you have Lakeshore here. You have UCHC here, Attorney Phillips. Do not walk away if you know that you need some assistance, okay? All right, now, what are we doing next? We have another question?
So one last thing. What is your call to action? What's the first thing you're gonna do when you go home? Find your deed, find your mortgage documents, find your ownership paperwork. And with that, I'm gonna hand it to Council Members Waters and Callaway to close us out.
Okay. Oh. All right, Member Callaway, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, great, thanks.
Oh, you want to, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to get some valuable information from Attorney Phillips, but first of all, Member Waters, let's give her a hand. Not that she is asking for it, but let's give her one anyway. Member Waters, thank you. Thank you for going above and beyond, just taking care of us, we Detroiters. We appreciate you so much. And we give you your flowers right now, right here, today. So thank you so much, Member Waters. Thank you to all of our panelists. I'm just blessed to be here, and I'm so glad that you allowed me to be here. I do want to recognize our District 2 Manager, Marshall Bullock, to my left, to your right. Our Police Commissioner from District 2 was here. There he is in the back, turn around. That is Lavish Williams, our brand new elected Police Commissioner. We have our men and women in blue. Let's give them a hand. Couldn't do it without them.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it without them. You have members, water staff at the back, and my staff to her right. Please make sure you hit those tables for resources. If you want any other information, you can feel free to call Member Waters' office or my office. If you can't remember anything that you heard today, which is probably unlikely, call Member Waters' office or call my office, and we'll make sure everything that you heard here today and all these names and numbers, you'll have it, okay? God bless you, and Member Waters, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, and thank you, Member Callaway. Let's give her a round of applause. Absolutely. I love working with Member Callaway. When she makes a commitment to something, she certainly sticks with it. And first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out to receive this valuable information. It's cold outside. So thank you. And I want to thank all of those who joined us online as well. Now remember, I said that we have some people here. We have the Wayne County Treasurer here. We have Lakeshore here. We have the title company here. We have United Community Housing Coalition here. And we have the Board of Review here. 2 people for sure. Mr. Donwell over there, raise your hand. Dr. Patman, raise your hand. Because if you today need some help with a HOPE application or whatever it might be, you might want to get that information so that you can receive the assistance that you need. We're so grateful to our panelists for being here today. Thank you. Listen, I love my people. I love my city. And I'm so happy that you all are here. But whatever you do, don't just sit by quietly, please. If you own property, make sure you have that primary residence exemption, that PRE, if that's where you live in particular, okay? But any rental properties or whatever properties that you have, you make sure that the paperwork is in order. The thieves are lurking. They're looking to take every single thing away from you. So God bless you. Thank you so very, very much. I love you.
For council.